people, struggling we struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. No, we ain't giving up no mountain, and we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belong to we. Not the one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. This land is our land now, we're gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow, but never break. Our fathers came here, and they lived and died here, and we are moving from here, make no mistake. No, we ain't giving up no mountain, and we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belong to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupanuni and the Essequibo, daytime or night. Though we criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we mean to keep it. We have that right. No, we ain't giving up no mountain, and we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belong to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass, not one golden apple, not one jamun, not a drop of water from the farmer room, not one sherriga, not one mommy.
12.5% for sure, every single day. 12.5% of 400,000 barrels. At 85 to 1995, maybe even $110 a barrel, because our light sweet crude is highly in demand. It's extreme demand in the world. High demand in the world. So we are getting sometimes 12, 14 million US a day. Yet we went and we borrowed 185 million US from the Chinese to build that bridge. If we're getting 10 million US a day, I want y'all to listen to this, and I want JAGDEO. Tell me, explain to me, Bar JAGDEO, Mr. fucking know-it-all. Why you borrow 185 million to build a bridge, and you getting 10 million US a day? Every 20 days you getting 200 million US dollars. Every 20 days, Bar JAGDEO's government, his PP government, is getting 200 million US. And you gonna borrow 185 to build a bridge? You got 700 million US in HES money, carbon credit free money in the bank. 700 million, and you gonna borrow 185 million on terms from the Chinese? Are you supposed to be smart? You're not a smart guy. You're a fucking con man, Bar JAGDEO. You're a con man, and you're robbing this country, and you're deceiving people. And you got these stupid PVP supporters behind you who don't know nothing. And you tell them about progress, and you're beating the old racial drums. Black man this, black man that, and you're beating the drums. You're beating the drums, JAGDEO. It's about fucking time that somebody tell you the time of day that you're a scamp and you gotta leave this country and go away. Leave here, fun, to do what you gotta do. We're tired of your bullshit, Bar JAGDEO. Your time is up. We don't need you no more. You had 10 years to do whatever you had to do. You did little for the people of Ghana. And you're back playing puppet master. I know why you could be the puppet master for your fun, you know. Because the people around you, I know them. And they call me and they talk to me. All of them. I know every single nasty secret, dirty secret. I know how you think, I know how you work, I know every single thing. I spent 6 months been trained by a political scientist in this country how to understand how you think, how Indians think. Trained for 6 months. At times I ain't want to hear no more. I want to hear no more. The man say, no, you gotta know more. Because you gotta understand the beast if you wanna work against the beast. I know how you work. I know the room you got with the security, with the hidden cameras. Cause you know what? My friend sell you the cameras, says I bring the fucking cameras for you. Even though you know it's my cameras. And you wanna know something? 2 of the cameras, to send out back a signal out to them. Back on the internet. So why do you think you're recording people secretly and using it to blackmail them? So you can play your puppet games? We watching you. And not only me watching you, the feds watching you. Because bigger fishes than you fry already, partner. Noriega, Castro, Chavez. You're a tiny little fish. You're a little cockabelly. You're a little cockabelly. You ain't nobody. You're just a little boy from Mexico. Little boy from Mexico. And unless you take a gun yourself and put it in my head and shoot off my head, you can't get nobody. Handgun. You gotta bring a Spanish to do it. For kill me. For exposing you for being a low life. Every time an Indian is beaten in this country, and Indians are beaten in this country by black people, paid by the PPP, paid by JAGDEO to beat Indians every now and then. Them people went coming from Buxton and Ford up the other day and went by Monrepo. You mean to tell me the police by vigilance go by Monrepo and stop it from happening? But no, they allowed it to happen because it suits the narrative of the PPP. Black man are coming and broke up and being stalled. They come and broke up, black man come broke up and being stalled. The police could have been there, the police was in the area, they knew they were walking. I knew they were walking, I knew when they left Buxton. But they were allowed free reign to come and beat up on the Indians because both sides getting set up. The black people are no better, they getting set up, and the Indians are no better, they getting set up. And they getting beat and get set up at the same time. It's politics, it's how politics works. It's how and JAGDEO knows how to do it. Knows how to do it. He knows how to play the game. Every time an Indian is assaulted in this country, every time an Indian family is robbed in this country, and the police force does nothing to assist, it's a deliberate act. You mean to tell me that this government, I know they got serious crime with them little black boys riding around with them bike and stuff? Well, let me tell you some of them little black boys riding around with the bike. A man called me from the ghetto. A man called me from the ghetto. Said, Max, a man called me. And you want me to put a little team on the ground, hot up the place. But you know I just got to talk to you about these things because I come to you for political advice. What to do? I said, don't help me. Don't help me. Don't get the gang fee. Don't give me the gang. And I called him on, I sent an email, I sent him a WhatsApp, I need a gun license, boy. Get a gun license, see if we can get a gun license now, because they got some little boy who want hot up the tongue. And in case they hotten up the tongue, we can, if I got a thing, I can help you if you get in little trouble too. But I was just sending him a message, I know what you just do. The fact that every single day, this government, PPP government, collects in excess of 10 million US dollars a day. Every day. Every single day. Every single day. Right now as I talk from when the show started now, them bother probably collect about 400,000 US. They probably collect about 200,000 to 300,000 US from when the show started now. Yet they play this broke game and then they got Glenn Lal working for JAGDEO. Glenn Lal is working for JAGDEO. Glenn Lal is my friend. I listen to him. I went in the camp. I walk around. I listen to the people informing Glenn of what the facts are. They got a couple of the guys in there who got their own information and they're feeding Glenn. And Glenn Lal, take this to the bank, is working good cop, bad cop, in cahoots with JAGDEO. Oh, but he's cost Glenn, he cussing Barrett, he Daisy. No, that's how good cop, bad cop work. You do me what you gotta do me. Hey, partner, I like the girl over there. And I want you to help me go and get this girl. So, you walk over, you slap shit. You slap shit. And I can come up and say, hey, you can't slap the girl bike, and I can pull you back and beat you up. But the girl can say, well, Brian is a bad man. Brian helped me out. Brian saved me. That's how good cop, bad cop works. And Glenn Lal is working. How come Glenn Lal don't tell me how much money we getting from Exxon every day? How come Glenn Lal never say we getting 8 million US, 10 million US, 15 million US? He's always show you an apple cutting up, but he don't tell you we getting 10 million US. He don't tell you we getting 10 million US every single day.
Welcome to another edition of Voice of the Diaspora. We have some breaking news. Brian Max, a founder of Guardians of Democracy, was arrested today, hours before he was expected to join Voice of the Diaspora. He was arrested after that interview was advertised on my platform. He has said to us from the police station that, and he's currently at Turkine police station. He said to us he was confronted by a man who tried to rob him, and there was a bit of a confrontation, and the man who tried to rob him went to the police station. And Brian Max is now in custody at the Turkine police station or police outpost. I recall when our now Mayor Sharma Solomon was on this program a few days later. He was also arrested when the PPP thug would have confronted him. And, you know, Sharma Solomon, who is now Mayor of Linden, was arrested. JAGDEO and the PPP will not stop. But this tells us a story. And it tells us a story of the PPP's fear of the truth. Brian Max, a few days ago, would have spoken out against the PPP, would have exposed JAGDEO and the PPP. And his post went viral because he pulled no punches. And this is a man who would have worked hard during the 2020 elections for the PPP. Today, Brian Max has spoken out against the wrongs of the PPP. And against JAGDEO and his corrupt ways and his evil ways. You would have seen the videos there carried here a few moments ago. But we will talk about that. Let me take you to the video of Brian Max being confronted by perhaps a PPP official or a thug that was sent to create a situation where he would not be able to come on the show and where he would have been arrested, and he is arrested. So they have achieved that objective. But the world must know. The world must know. Here is Brian Max in the police station. You can see he's sitting there. There's a police officer at the door. That's Turkine police station. And so it's not a made-up story. He has been arrested. So the PPP is now targeting Brian Max. Brian Max did that post speaking out against JAGDEO, Glenn Lal, and the PPP days ago, I think about 5 days ago. But today, when he decided to come on Voice of the Diaspora, suddenly there's a confrontation, and he is now in police custody. Let us have a look at that video before we bring on my co-host, J.R. Crawford, to talk about what is happening here. J.R. Crawford, welcome to the program. Welcome to your program. How are you doing? How are you doing?
Good night, everyone. So far so good. I've been trying to take a back seat and watch the events unfold. And this Brian Max situation, jumped out at me. The guy's been speaking out against a lot of stuff that he knows firsthand. And as soon as he's going on the air on a program to where people assume that he'll put more out there, here comes somebody at his residence. Now I confront somebody who's trying to, you know, interfere with me at my residence. Why am I being detained? That is how the system is being played and it's being used to target people who are not on the PPP wagon. And this is something that we have to stop. Somebody comes and try to interfere with you at your residence. You have a right to protect yourself and your residence. And why am I, being detained at a station?
But JR, it has all been
You know,
staged. It's all been staged. Coincidence is not a concept I entirely trust. They have not troubled Brian Max, even when he spoke out against them 5 days ago, I think. Um, as soon as Brian Max agreed to come on this show, and it was advertised hours after, somebody confronted him, apparently trying to rob him, and he retaliated. Obviously it's not a physical retaliation or whatever; it was a confrontation, and that person that came allegedly to rob him went to the police station, and Brian Max was arrested. So we know, or we can conclude, sorry, that it has been staged. Coincidence is not a concept I entirely trust. Go ahead, JR.
look, it's simple. If I'm at my residence and somebody come and we have an argument, they came with an intention to aggravate me or to
Yes.
assault me or to inflict grave bodily harm. I have a video evidence that they came. I am at my taxpaying residence. Why am I being detained? So you're seeing that the system is being used against people who speak out of the unpleasant things that are happening in the country. And this is something that is not supposed to be done and it should not be tolerated. And I am sure this is going to light a bigger fire on the Max tomorrow.
It will, because I think that the PPP realizes that Brian Max fought for them, fought for regime change, and supported the PPP. And everybody were aware of what was happening in 2020. And it is very sad today that Brian Max himself would have come out and spoke out against JAGDEO and the PPP and its corrupt practices and all that's happening in the oil industry, and that the PPP, is involved in aiding and abetting gangs in Guyana. The PPP is in cahoots with the police to allow gangs to rob Indians, to make it look as if blacks are robbing Indians, so that the PPP can get that sort of sympathy from Indo-Guyanese. And it is very, very sad. It's very, very unfortunate. But the PPP is against the ropes at the
Norman,
moment. They are against the ropes at the moment. And I think that they know that their rule is weighed in the balance and they're found wanting. Go ahead, JR.
Norman, not only having some East Indian people being assaulted by these young black thugs, what it's doing is continue to divide the nation and create this racial discrimination to hold that voting base at bay. And unfortunately, many of our citizens are not educated themselves to the point where they understand that the division of this country is created by the politicians and not by the common
Yes.
people.
Yes.
We all know that Guyana is unique in its way, where Black and Indian cannot survive without each other.
Yes.
Why are we allowing politicians to divide us and so we vote on race instead of issues and, you know, plan progress? We need to stop allowing people to mandate who we appreciate. There are only two types of people in this world: good people and bad people.
Yes.
We should not be separated by religion, by ethnicity, money, a village, or a demographic, whatever it is. So, as a nation, we have to start to walk away from anyone who is sowing the seeds of discord in our communities because we need each other. And the sooner we understand that we are a multicultural nation, the sooner we can progress and we can hold any elected government responsible for destroying our country or stifling people's opportunity to grow and educate or whatever the case it may be. So we are at fault to an extent as a nation for allowing a few peons to divide us and keep us divided and hating each other unnecessarily. We should never have a race based political lines. We must align ourselves because of issues and possibilities for us in the future.
Yes. J.R. Crawford, co-host of Voice of the Diaspora there. J.R., I just don't understand. I just don't understand if a member of the Guardians of Democracy that would have fought alongside the PPP, today sees the PPP as an undemocratic government and speaks out. And this is what he has to endure. This is what he has to face. And I want to open the lines today here for people to call in and to ask yourself questions, to ask, questions to both of us. And I want to put the number that they could call in via WhatsApp in the comment sections, but I will say the number here. The number you can call in, guys, once you're respectful and you're dealing with the issue, no abuse and so on. The number to call via WhatsApp is +44 794 010 2402. But if you don't remember it, I will say it again, and I will put it in the comment section here. So you can go to the comment section and you can get the number and you can discuss or give your views so that JR and myself can respond to it. I want us to have an interaction and so on. But what has happened to Brian Max, it doesn't augur well for Guyana. It doesn't augur well for the government. This government is telling us that clearly we are living in a police state. And we know, JR, that the government controls a large section of the police force, including the commissioner, Clifton Hicken. We know he's a creature of installed President Irfan Ali and Bar JAGDEO. We are aware of that. And it is very sad that we've lost JR there. I'm sure he's going to call back in. But it's very, very sad that people are not allowed to express themselves, are not allowed to call this government out. It is very, very sad. We are living in a wealthy, what should be a democracy, but under this PPP regime, we are actually living in a dictatorship and a police state. We are actually living in a dictatorship and a police state. I don't know if it has dawned on us what happened a few hours ago. Brian Max wasn't interfered with before. Brian Max spoke out against the PPP and others about 5 days ago. His live went viral. No one troubled him. But as soon as Brian Max agreed to come on Voice of the Diaspora, and it was circulated that he will be here, something happened out of the ordinary. Somebody confronted him and then went to the station to report. Typical PPP style. But they're afraid because their own people are rising up against them. This is what is happening. The people are the PPP supporters and people who back the PPP are tired of the PPP because the PPP cannot control themselves from crossing the line. No matter how much people repose hope and confidence in them, people get fed up because they don't know where and when to stop. And Brian Max, who fought for them during the 2020 elections, formed a group, was a co-founder of the group Guardians of Democracy, today is now locked up. Well, I'm not going to say that now locked up. He is in custody. He is at the Turkine police station. And, he could not be on the show. He could not be on the show. Brian Max is there at the Turkine police station as we speak. It is not made up. There's a police by the door there. You can see the uniform. And this tactic by the PPP will only bring more ridicule, will only make people see how weak and how wicked and how evil they are. Democracy means people have the right as Guyanese to speak out. But the PPP is offended because they will be hurt if someone that supported them, inevitably, they're going to be hurt if someone who has supported them and identified with them, goes on Sherrod or Mark or Kadaki or David Hines or this show. This is what it did. That's when they become afraid. It's okay for him to speak out on his own, but to align himself and identify and join the fighters for freedom in Guyana is an insult to them. And they have trampled on Brian Max's right. And they have curtailed his freedom. And they did that to Sharma Solomon. They did that to Sharma. But that was after Sharma Solomon came on the show. They sent a PPP strongman to confront him. And Sharma, everybody know that Sharma Solomon, who's now Mayor of Linden, is not a confrontational person. He's not that sort of person. You could say anything about Sharma, but Sharma is not somebody who will interfere with people and engage in any sort of, fights or anything. That and so on. But they made sure that they got somebody to provoke him. And even though he did not retaliate, even though they weren't any physical confrontation coming from Sharma. Sharma was arrested. The police in Guyana, and I want you to comment on this here. The police in Guyana, today we see the police blatantly working for the PPP. It's like some in the police force, and I'm not going to say all police officers or police constables are a part of it, but we see what is happening where rich businessmen or a rich businessman is also trying or has some control over the police force, and the government and this rich businessman is associated with the president air finale. And so we see a very strong move to control the police force, because to suppress people, you have to have a police state. It is a typical dictatorship. And Brian Max said it. He said Noriega and all those people went down, and dictators will fall. And I think the Bar JAGDEO and the PPP and Air Finale and Anil Nandalal, they know that even their own supporters are walking away from them, and they feel threatened. They become desperate. Talk to us, talk to the viewers, J.R. Crawford.
Norman, when you look at the behavior of the current administration and the hampering of the police to be an entity that operates across the board without interference, what we're seeing is a cultish behavior from the current group. Only a cult operates this way and try to suppress freedom. And we've seen over the time, someone is a part of a cult and they want to leave. You can't leave. Most of the time you end up being expired. So we are seeing a cult in operation here, not a political party or a people's elected body. And this is where our citizens need to start to understand and ask themselves, are we going to allow people that come to us during campaign time to beg for their votes to be these kinds of people for society? We cannot have people that are going to be dividing us as a nation to be leaders and caretakers of our interests as a people. In Brian Mack's situation, he has been a part of the inner circle of this current administration. Fortunately, he has woken up and he's seen some things that he did not appreciate, he did not like, because it was going against some of the people. And it shows the grit of him, and it also shows that the PPP is not an inclusive leadership team that is currently in possession of the leadership in this country. They were telling the Americans that they're an inclusive body, but we're seeing totally different. And they're being blatant about lying. The opportunities for anybody who does not support the PPP is very, very small. And if you're a business person and you do not support the PPP, they are going to orchestrate ways and means for you to suffer financially. And I can tell you that from personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who are East Indians who support the coalition. They cannot let it be known that they do not support the PPP or their business will suffer. We can't have those kind of behaviors in the 21st century. So this is where the people have to start to be honest with themselves and say, hey, man, are we going to back a party because of racism, or are we going to back a party for opportunities and, growth and respect and love for each other? So we have to take that major step of walking away from something that is not honest and contrite and beneficial to the people of this country. At the same time, the coalition have to put people that are caring and concerned about people's welfare.
Yes.
Not people who are buddy system with the same entity that is oppressing the people who don't support them. They don't be fooled that there are many in the coalition who have strings attached at the back of the building.
Yes.
We need to get these people out of the leadership position. We have leaders who are elected to do the bidding for the people, not only the party people, but every single Guyanese, that are only there for personal gains. If you look at their financial standings, you're going to see a major difference. Every time they get elected, their financial holding go tenfold. They cannot explain it. So we are having people there who are going there to pilfer the resources of that should be used for the nation's development for their personal gains. So all of these things are causing major corruption. So people now are not wanting to do their jobs honestly. They're looking, everybody's in a hustle mode now. A public servant is supposed to do a particular job, but you have to grease his or her pocket to get that done if there's something done for you, which it shouldn't be. And that's because our culture has been interfered with an organization that has gone power hungry and money hungry and has interfered with our morals as a people. And if you compare our time 25 years ago to now, it's like day and night. And, we are left to wonder what happened. Well, what happened is that we allowed ourselves to be bought and sold. And we were all thinking of monies instead of what benefit we are to our communities wherever we are. We do not care about the country, we don't care about neighbors, or we don't care about our villages. All we concern about how we can show off that we are this tycoon, living this large life. And that is something that we have to have leaders who have to go back to the communities, go back to the grassroots, and educate the people of being a nation of togetherness instead of a nation of selfishness. We are not having that type of leadership on either of the two major parties. What we're seeing is an inner circle situation. And if you're the person that speaks out, you become an outcast and you're going to be ridiculed. And this is exactly what happened to Brian Max tonight. Because you can't detain somebody for protecting themselves at their residence. I have no right to go to your residence and make myself a fool. If you're on the public space and something happens, that's different. But by going there, it shows premeditated moves. And it's simple. The police should not be calling Max nowhere. There's video evidence right there. Take a secret. If we need any further discussion from you, we will talk to you. He has no reason to be at the station because the video shows it. He's at his home. So these are the behaviors that are causing a problem in our society. If somebody sees wrongdoing and they're speaking out, they're being oppressed, they're being suppressed, they're being targeted. Why? This is not the way our society, our constitution guarantees us free speech. And when somebody speaks out of wrongdoing, it means they are concerned and they want our country to be a better place. That's why they're opening their mouth. But when you open your mouth, you become a minority and you become a target. And this is what we as a nation needs to understand, that we have to stop looking for soup and easy way out and start to build this country so all of us can be, a happy nation. And we must hold all political leaders and elected officials responsible if they're doing wrong things. They must face the music.
They
You
mu-
can't say I encourage some wrongdoings on a 40-day work system, 40 hour a week, a month work system, where monies are being paid to phantom people. And when you're being caught, you're told, oh, just pay back the money and everything is good. No, that person, by creating that fraud and putting somebody's name to collect monies on a false return, should face the music and go where they're supposed to go. But you see, that's our our morals in this country has gone so far backwards that you're wanting to know why are we in a 24 hours ghetto system, and that's what Guyana has become in the face of an emerging powerhouse in the oil industry. It's such a sad situation.
It is indeed a such situation. J.R. Crawford here, co-host of Voice of the Diaspora. Of course, you know, guys, that we were supposed to be having Brian Max here to talk to us about what is happening in the PPP and what he knows about what the PPP is doing. Jay, I want to ask you this question quickly. When you heard Brian Max spoke about the gangs and what the PPP is doing, it smacks at something that is so very serious because what Brian said, he was dealing with the two races, and we know we have serious racial division. But he kind of bridged it in the sense that he said that the PPP Indian leaders, are using black youths. And Brian Max said also in that live that there are Indian thugs also in the gangs with the other youths in Guyana. So he wasn't being racist or anything, calling black youths thugs or
No,
anything.
he's
He
being
was
honest.
not. He was not. And so what when people hear this, that revelation, that the PPP will go to the extreme, especially Bar JAGDEO and Irfan Ali. And I want to say Irfan Ali is no different to Bar JAGDEO. And I think that is why Bar JAGDEO selected him to become president. Because he's no different to Bar JAGDEO. He bluffs and he plays a game and he pretends to be whatever. But he's no different. But
Norman,
when you would have heard Brian Max said, what JAGDEO and others in the PPP are doing to these gangs to attack Indians so that Indians can believe that Africans are attacking them and they hate them and the division continues for political currency in favor of the PPP. How evil and wicked is that? Go ahead.
Norman, 20 plus years ago, I was briefed on some very disturbing
Yeah.
behavior. The gangs were sent out there to terrorize certain Indians to keep them in line, to be divided, and also the voting bloc. This is coming from some people that I will never doubt. And I was overseas. There were instances where East Indian criminals
Wow.
were wearing Rasta wigs, those dread hats that look
Wow.
like Rasta wigs. And when they do the break and enter, the poor victims would have seen these headdress and think it was a black person. Back then, they started cut their hair very, very low. So the length of the hair would look like if it's in the dark as a black person. right? They fumble voice with a mouthpiece, and this is coming from people that I would have laid down my life for. They're both deceased now. I have no reason to doubt it. But this is a game that was being played on the nation because we weren't educating ourselves to see that we were being used, many of us, and at the same time, the then opposition, then and until now, they never used the opportunity to hit the road and speak to their support base and every other Guyanese that would listen and explain to them what was going on and the division, why it was constantly being fed. And that was a major accomplishment to keep the nation divided. Fortunately, what helped Guyana a little bit is the advent of the internet, and people were
Yes,
able to
yes,
start to
yes.
see things differently from a different perspective, and it helped us, or we would have been in much more trouble as a nation if it wasn't for the internet. If you realize people like me who are mixed up, we were a rarity back in those days compared to now,
Douglas.
because people are venturing in different ways and making stronger decisions. But we still have a long way to go as a nation to combine and come together. We need to stop being racial because we're hurting ourselves and our future generations. All the monies that are going unaccounted for, our country could have been so far ahead. We could have been living a better life, have
But
better medical system.
this racism is apparently being engineered by the PPP.
Yes,
But
it is
Africans and
that
Indians live
exactly
together. That's why so many Douglas people, including yourself. But there's a
good.
constant, struggle by the PPP to keep the races divided because they want
Well,
to remain in power.
not only that, the PPP has realized a long time ago, before the PNC people, that their voting bloc was shrinking. So they had to keep it there and they had to know how to manipulate it to keep ahead. I have never bought the fact that they're saying the percentage ratio is 39 to 31 East Indian to black. I think it's the other way around. And that is the reason why we've been stuck at 750,000, because the PPP has led the international world to believe that we are going to vote by race in this country. And the East Indian base is 39% as compared to the black base, which is 31, as what rappers are saying. So the PNC could have never been a winner of an election. That is untrue. It's the other way around. So they were playing the game. Now we're seeing the blatant move, allow the Venezuelans to come in here and destabilize our country, but for a power grab. And some black folks are being sold or being bought for cheap to build that voting bloc, because if there was an honest election now, PNC would beat the PPP 3-1, because there's so many East Indian people who are upset, stop at the behavior of the PPP. There are no need
JR,
for them to do
one
this
second.
separately.
We have Brian Max on the line here. Of course, Brian Max is at the Turkine police station. Brian, we just called to see how you're doing and for you to say a few words to the viewers around the world. So many people have tuned into the program. They're shouting free Brian Max. They're writing on the internet free Brian Max. And what would you like to say to them? Wow.
I'm back home actually. The the individual who in the video that I have on my Facebook page, who
Yes.
definitely came within striking range of me. after I confronted him, he decided that he's going to play it safe. And he went to the station to make a report saying that I assaulted him.
Yes.
If I assaulted him, he wouldn't have been able to go to the station. He would have been on the ground.
Tell us, Brian, tell us from the start what transpired, because the viewers are listening to you right now.
I was in the yard doing some work in the car.
Yes.
And I'm always very aware of where I am. And I'm always in a position where I can take cover. And I have probably about 40 cameras around this building.
Yes.
I got probably about 6 or 7 different views of this incident as it happened. That's just one of the videos I use.
Yes.
He was coming in, and then a car that was patrolling the area, I want to say patrol, it was in and out, pretending to be looking for some building or the other, person or the other. And when this guy came in, he walked. I think the car dropped him outside and he walked in. And the car was probably supposed to pick him up or go around the corner, pick him up. Maybe after he did something. I'm not sure.
Yes.
But he was on the other side of the road, as you can see in the video. And then he suddenly pretended to be drunk. And he walked over in a drunken manner. And then he stood on the parapet. And then where I was, you really couldn't see, because I used the car that was there as a diversion from him to block where I was. And then he came on the bridge, and when he came on the bridge, just when I came around the side of the car and started talking to him. So he was already on the bridge. I don't know if he was thinking probably that he could have picked up something in the yard or something like that quickly. Because maybe he thought it was just open, the gate was open, and maybe he wanted to pick up something. Maybe he had another motive.
Yes.
But that particular vehicle was driving. I have it on video, driving at least 5 or 6 times in and out.
Wow. Wow. What time today did that happen, Brian? What time today did that happen?
The video has marking on it at 8:13, but it happened at 7:13. There was a setting in the time zone that made that happen. So I got to go in the camera
and you were to be on Voice of the Diaspora at 9 Guyana time.
Yeah, right. It happened because I think I sent you a message. If you look somewhere, I think you're gonna say I sent you a message. When wasn't it 8 I was supposed to be on? Or
you were supposed to be on at 9 Guyana time.
I thought it was 8 because I was working to finish up for 7.
You did say that you were working to finish up. You did say that.
Yeah, I thought it was 8, so I was trying quickly to wrap up and just probably grab a bath so I can come on your show.
Brian, so the man, he approached you.
He came on the bridge, yes. After I asked him, he was on the bridge. And then when I came around the car, as you can see in the video, he stepped away from the bridge, and I opened the gate and I went out to him.
So for the sake of our viewers, what happened after? Did he go to the police station? We know that you are now at the Turkine police station.
Actually, let me give a little bit more in this story.
Yes.
This individual, I think a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, the police killed 2 individuals at UG Road and 2nd Street Commons Lodge. The individuals who were killed were 2 young criminals. The police were tracing. They had killed that guy in North Belt, some electrician guy.
Yes.
And a couple of days after, the police tracked them down. And the police was doing surveillance in this area. And the building that they were staying at, where the police ended up going and finding a whole set of stuff that belonged to the electrician guy who was killed in Northeast Pennington, so something like that.
Yes.
They found stuff, and that is the exact building. When I followed this guy around, because I kept pursuing him around the corner, and he kept walking away. And that's the building he went into.
That's the exact building he went into.
About 8 years ago, had an explosion, and a wife and a husband were killed in it. And the building burned down. So they live in a little shack in the back.
What is happening to you there at the station, Brian? Are they treating you well? What are they saying to you?
I have to go back tomorrow for 12, I think.
You have to go.
The police were very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I told them that their vehicle didn't have enough lights to get to the station, and they took me down in a nice air-conditioned truck, van. And they were very courteous, very, very professional, and no issues whatsoever, very nice. And they treated both of us in a good manner. They treated him just as good as they treated me.
That's wonderful. And a lot of people who have been arrested are saying the same thing you were saying, that the police seem to be treating them well while they're in custody. I think that is a resistance. I think that orders come from the top. Political orders come from the top to senior officers. But I think the rank and file police, they understand what is happening and they're doing their jobs professionally. Brian, I want to ask you this question. I really want, because I want the world to hear it. Coincidence is not a concept I entirely trust. You know, an hour or two before you were to be on this show, this situation occurred. Do you believe that it was politically motivated?
Yeah. I wouldn't put it past. I wouldn't put it past. Now, the reason I was working that car is because the other car that I've been using, the little Toyota turbocharged Starlet, on Sunday when I went to South Dakota and I parked in perfect order, the engine was nice and smooth, the temperature gauge was perfect, brakes were perfect because it's an ABS braking, all-wheel disc brakes all around. It's a sports car, very fast, very hot. It's almost a race car. Almost, I would want to say, legal to be on the road how fast it is. And it works perfectly. That car is in excellent condition. When I came out about almost like about 8 o'clock, because we were waiting for the traffic to ease up a little bit. Because it doesn't make sense to leave 6 o'clock. You just end up in a massive line coming out. So a lot of us wait an hour or two, and then we say, well, okay, the crowd should be at least moderate at this point. When I got into the car, it had absolutely no brakes.
Wow.
I got a 2 pints of brakes fluid. And as I poured it out into the master cylinder, it literally just walked completely. It just drained right through. Now I don't know. At this point, I haven't done a mechanical check. The vehicle is still in use. Like, I gotta go tomorrow with a tow truck and one of the flatbed trucks to pick it up, put it on to bring it to Georgia, and where we'll do a live inspection, sir.
Yes.
We'll do a live as we approach the vehicle. We'll put the cameras on. We'll do a live. We'll jack the vehicle up to see if it's a mechanical issue that just happened to happen. Because I don't see with no pressure on the brake system. And this car parked in perfect order. I don't understand as a mechanic.
There could very well have been interference.
How this could have happened. That when I got into the car, the second I put my foot down on the brakes pedal, because I haven't a while ago I was watching a movie in which the Capones and whatever, and somebody cut the guy's brakes line just enough that when he got in the road and then he got into something and he mashed the brakes and the line popped and he had no brakes. So watching the movie, I came up with this thing a while ago, and I want to pass this on to viewers to do as well, just in case, especially political people. I always mash my brakes extremely hard when I start the vehicle up as an attempt to do a brake check. That if I can mash it this hard with this sort of on the engine on running, if it can withstand a really good press on the brake pedal, that it means that the brake system is in good order.
Yes.
And I do that as a political person, even though I like to think myself as not as a politician, as a social activist. I do that every single time I mash on that brake extremely hard, because I remember seeing this in this movie.
In the movie. But Brian, let me say this to you quickly before JR asks you one question, because I know you've had a hectic day. I know that, you're a very strong person, you're an activist, but I know that these situations, when they happen, it can cause you to be drained. But I want to ask you this question before I ask JR to just give you one question before we let you go. Hopefully we will have you on the program tomorrow evening. to speak to the Guyanese people. Someone in the comment section said a few minutes ago that you have to be careful because they may try to kill you. In the comment section here on this live, when we show that video and discussing your arrest and so on, but did they charge you? What happened at the police station? What was the allegations?
They took a report from him that I assaulted him.
Oh, so it was
And then I
assault.
requested of the police that I wish to state that this guy appeared to have intentions to rob me.
Yes.
So the police will tomorrow, by 12 tomorrow, we got to go back. They will decide if there's any merit in his allegation that I assaulted him, because on the video there's nobody being cuffed or
no physical confrontation.
If I had assaulted him, I'm a trained taekwondo expert.
Yes.
Right? My newest sensei is a man named Maxido. And the training that we do is high intense, bone breaking training. We're not playing. Once you get into my zone, I'm gonna do what I have to do.
Yes.
I don't care. I'll deal with the police after. They can do what they have to do.
Well, Brian, I want to say this to you before JR asks a question. I'll let you go. Brian, you have to be careful because you can become a next Waddle. You can become a next Crummy Wing, because I don't know if you know the magnitude of the power of the revelations you made in that life. Yeah. And you are, and because you have been someone who stood up against the coalition as a founder and a leader of the Guardians of Democracy, you speaking out against this current government and its undemocratic practices brings to the viewers and to those in Guyana and around the world in the diaspora, it shows them clearly that there is now a balance, because no one can say that it was partisan when your Guardians of Democracy went against the coalition. Today you are going against the undemocratic PPP, and so you have shifted the goalpost and you have made history. And I think that the PPP is afraid of that, because what they would feel is that someone who supported them against a perceived undemocratic government during that elections, or undemocratic election practices, have now come out, that someone has now come out to expose them in a principled way. And that is dangerous, because there's a balance there now. No one can accuse you of going against the coalition for the PPP, because today you are going against the PPP because you feel that their actions are undemocratic. Jack, quickly, if you want to ask Brian Max a question, because we have to let him go, and hopefully we will have him on tomorrow.
Brian, good night. I watched the live you had a couple of days ago, and you were saying something about not being able to get over the ferry from Rain. Can you briefly give the audience that experience where you had to turn back with all the food supplies?
Yeah, I heard of 3 years ago we were tracking some nomad Indians. These people walk for hundreds of miles from Ghana, Suriname, Venezuela, Brazil. In 2020, they were in Letem and Anai at the time. And we were attempting to get to them, to feed them, to give them the ability, someone in the area. I do the soup kitchen, and I can get it done easily, right? I got the pots, I got the stoves and everything. I did it for 6 months during the period when they were doing the recounts and everything. We shared out 400 or 500 molds of soup every day. So I know how to do it. I know how to get it done. I went I went to the Parika Stelling 4:30 in the afternoon, and I left 4 o'clock in the morning. Attempting 3 boats left me. The rule apparently is, and apparently this is a rule made with concrete and steel, and it's cannot be broken. This rule cannot be broken. That you must have an online ticket, and nothing including an attempt by me calling Captain Jerry Gavaya, the national advisor to the president on security, could not get me on that ferry. At 4 o'clock in the morning, when I realized you're not going to get on, Max, the call is not going to come. Nobody's going to be here. No flashing lights will turn up, and someone will lift me in the car and put in the ferry to clear the name of the government that you're trying to stop me from going to feed 300 starving people in charity. I made the case to the young lady who from the second I reached, is as if she knew who to look for. I made the mistake of announcing prior to reaching to Parika. I wasn't saying it all along. I just said I'm going to make a little trip to charity. I didn't say what I was doing, but then my big mouth got the better of me, and I decided to let people in on why I'm going to charity. And that was about when I was probably in Tushin or something area. So by the time I got from Tushin to Parika, that young lady was given an instruction. I'm guaranteeing you it. The instruction came from JAGDEO, and then went to Bishop Edgel, and they were told, by no means must that Macintosh guy get that car on the ferry. I will make that allegation. I believe I'm firmly in the right, because when I finally got a chance to talk to the supervisor, who was always eating, she was at the back, she was outside, she was on the phone. I said, can I speak? It was impossible, but then I walked up quickly, and there she was sitting next to the girl. I said, and she was highly aggressive. And then I went to the little guy, because they sent me to the guy in the booth, and he was aggressive, and it was like, I always get along good with black people, man. I always get along good. I have 15% sub-Saharan African blood in me, bro. I did a DNA test. I'm 85% European. I'm related to King Henry, and I have 15% sub-Saharan African blood in me. Much of it Nigerian. I get along. I know my best friend is Terrence Clark, the old 74-year-old motor racer who's still racing in South Dakota. All my friends in school were black people. My best friends, black people. I know I can break the ice in 2 seconds with you, man. I know how the afters go. I can talk to you and relate to you instantly. I mean, there are cases, yes, some people are with some baggage behind them, naturally aggressive to someone looking like me. But in 2 seconds, I can have you laughing, man. I know how to talk to my brothers. I know how to talk to my sisters. And they look at me and they see someone who is genuine, who isn't pretending to be something that he's not. So when I came across these 3 highly aggressive people, I was like, man, I wanted to cry. I swear to God, I've never in my life have not been able to talk my way through something. And I couldn't talk my way through to 3 people, man. All 3. Even the little guy, when I go to him in the booth, he ended up almost fighting. We came down to almost fighting. And I said, man, I'll come in the booth and beat you up in the booth. He said, I'll come outside and beat you too. I said, I come from Liverpool Street. He said, he come from Norton Street. He get too big. And it literally come down to this level of vexation. And I couldn't get, and then let's say, Jerry Gavaya is my whole body. Let me call the captain and see if captain of all people can make a call for me, man. So I handed it to the lady. The lady said, I don't want to talk to no Captain Gavaya. Who is Captain Gavaya? I look at this lady and said, this lady playing with your job. This lady playing with your job. I said, madam, you're playing with your job. You'll get fired tomorrow. But the lady knows she couldn't get fired. She knew she could not be fired because her orders came from the bishop. Bishop Edgel.
It came from high up in the
She didn't get it
PPP.
from Edgel. Maybe she got it from the head of transport. Maybe they did a full line of command. JAGDEO, Bishop, PhD, manager. It's impossible for me to have broadcast that, being out there all night, waiting. The embarrassment that was created because they didn't want me to go to charity. They didn't want me to expose these Amerindian people being mistreated and
Wow.
forgotten
Wow.
and left to starve in charity. I don't have to help. I would pray to God that they help them. I haven't found the time because motor racing came up and I'm a motor racing fan and I had the 2 days that I was hoping to do it in one day, but I said I'll come back the next day. I had that little time frame. I don't have it now. And I brought everything. Today I looked at the stuff in the yard. It's all rotten and spoiled. Good thing we still have the good stuff, the hard stuff. But the veggies are all gone.
Brian, your life was so profound, it was so powerful, and you really threw down the gauntlet when it came to Bar JAGDEO. You held no punches, so to speak. You let loose. Are you afraid for your life at the moment? Do you believe? Do you feel that maybe this is a turning point for you and that you will have to be careful? How do you feel at the moment?
I know I know what can happen. I'm not naive. I know what can happen. I know it can happen in a heartbeat. My little backup to it is that I got some serious files set on a 2 hours timeline. And if at the end of the 2 hours deadline, I don't renew that 2 hours every 2 hours, and no one other than me knows the password, only I can keep resetting the timeline. So if I die in 2 hours after dying, maybe an hour and a half or an hour after dying, in that 2 hours timeline frame, CNN, ABC, Gordon Mosley, Nazima Ragabir, everybody will get some massive files with. And if you think what I said was mind-blowing and funny,
massive files on the PPP?
you guys see what the files are having them.
Okay. A very, very, very sensitive information, and information that can actually implicate the PPP in a very serious way. Is that what you're saying?
Especially JAGDEO.
Especially Barra JAGDEO.
Money. With a lot of money, yeah.
And so you've got that file, those files on them, and you are willing to expose them in due course. Brian, one of the things that
investigating and adding more information.
Yes, Brian, one of the things that touched me watching that CCTV footage tonight is that I recall at the ending of your life when you said you were going to leave. You said, I have my cats and the food ran out and so on, and I had to feed my cats. I need to get stuff and so on for my cats. Today, in that video, your cats were on the fence and walking around. It in the guard, And I said to myself, this man was speaking the truth. This man is not lying. This man spoke truth on that live. This man said he has to look after his cats. He's concerned about his cats. And many people think he's just saying it like to come off alive or whatever. Those cats were out there with you.
They guard me. They're my guardian angels. They are.
They are your
15 of them.
Well, Brian, I'm going to say this to you. Hopefully, we will have you on tomorrow evening, same time, 9 o'clock. And we will have a great conversation. The guests will be able to see you and so on. I am very, very appreciative that with all that has happened today, that you took the time to still speak to our viewers around the world, via audio. And that shows me that you're a stalwart. Look, no one will hurt you now because the PPP has to be very careful when certain things are exposed on certain platforms, they will think 100 times. This is not the time of Crummy Wing and Ronald Waddle. This is a different time. The Americans are watching them. The Americans are watching these programs. Thousands of people around the world will see or hear about what you are saying from various platforms. And so, Brian, you have nothing to be worried about. I thank you so much for really taking the time after leaving the police station to come on and speak to you. What are your final words?
I wanna leave something with you just before I go. 2 days before Ronald Waddle was assassinated, I got a call home here on a landline that was not registered in my name. He was in a. I don't know how he got this number. I don't know how Ronald got the number. I always knew him and I always spoke to him. And he said, Max, Brian, I want you to come on the show. Because he had a show on Channel 9. He said, I want you to come on the show. I want you to come and talk because I've been following you for years and you're an educator and you're an inspiration and you like seeing people move up in life. I said, man, Ronald, I don't want to come on your show because you're so political. And I didn't want to store feathers up. And if I come on your show, I'll be branded in a different area. And he begged me. I said, man, look, let me think about it and we'll talk again. I said, Brian, you must come on the show. And 2 days later, the runner was dead.
Wow.
2 days later.
Brian, you are a man with your ear to the ground, and I rather suspect that you're a man who knows where the PPP skeletons are buried. And I think that the fact that you came out and you're speaking now not about the skeletons, you're just exposing their undemocratic behavior. You are being called into the police station and so on. Can we expect in your struggle for democracy, your continued struggle, I have to say, for democracy, that you will tell it all at some point?
At some point, I keep adding a little bit more every day.
And you are adding a little bit more every day. Brian Max here, social activist in Guyana. He has worked alongside the PPP in the struggle in 2020 during the 2020 elections as a part of the Guardians of Democracy. Brian, do you think that you will be bringing about a new Guardians of Democracy, even if it's not the old members that you had, that it is time to have new Guardians of Democracy in Guyana?
We're working on adding new people because some of the Guardians did their work, right? But they were members of the PPP.
Yes.
And some were Anug and some from Schuman's party. And so we got two brackets of Guardians. We got a group of real Guardians who had no political motive like me. I had no motive. And I think I put up a picture on my Facebook page, my ballot in 2015. And you can clearly see that I voted for APNO AFC.
Wow.
I voted AFC in 2011.
Wow.
And on my page, I just put it up and you can look and see it's not a photocopy, it's not a Photoshop or anything like that. My contact with APNO AFC as you guys know that I know good politics and I can strategize politics pretty good. But my guy was Imran Khan, who died the other day.
Imran, yes, from COVID, yes.
Imran was my contact. Look, one day when I was passing by just between where John F. Kennedy used to be, and then Juman's office was thereafter, and between New Building Society, there's a little building inside there, tucked away. And I passed the day and Shuri Fireball was inside.
Philomena's Ahoy.
Way after, like talking 2 months after, I like Shuri at the government building pretending to own it. And I call Imran and say, Imran, I got one for you, you're gonna love it. Shuri Fireball is in a government facility acting as if she owns it. Nobody can park in front. And by afternoon, Story was out of the building on her butt on the road.
Wow.
I don't know, the paperwork, all of it was, nobody knew. Nobody in AFC or APNO, the PNC knew that building for whatever reason. They didn't know the building was there and that it was occupied by PPP operatives. And I called him and him ran by afternoon. She was out and all the PPP people were out. They were going to hold on to that building for whatever reason.
Well, I'll tell you this, Brian, and I will reiterate that we're so appreciative to have you here, and hopefully tomorrow we will have you live for the world to hear. Brian, I want to say this to you, and I want to say it very pellucid. Now, the PPP will not do anything to harm you. Not do anything to harm you at this juncture. You can walk down Regent Street tonight alone, and nobody will trouble you. You know why? Because the world is listening to this. The world will see this tomorrow and days after. And if anything happens to you, the Americans, the British, the French, everyone will see this. This is the world we're living in today. And so you are more safe now than ever.
Right now, I'm sitting in a rocking chair in my yard.
Good.
And I got a very low fence.
Good. JR, quickly before we allow Brian to go, because we really want to have him on tomorrow so that we can have this conversation. What would you like to say to him on your final question before we let Brian go?
Well, I would rather reserve my question for tomorrow, because seeing that Brian was activated and put out of in an uncomfortable situation, I will let him go and hope that tomorrow night he'll be on, and then we can go from there, because there's a lot more that needs to be asked.
Stable for tomorrow night. We will re-advertise. And Brian, listen.
Right.
You take care of your cats, and leave the bobcat to sweat. You know who the bobcat is. Leave the bobcat to sweat. But you have made a point, and you are the new man on the block. I say to people that in Guyana's politics, we have junctures, and there are people who emerge that will become a part of the history of this country. You are today the person politically that is foremost at this point, foremost in the condemnation of the PPP in a correct way. And therefore, this is your moment, and you need to capitalize it. You need to speak out. You need to stand up, and you need to say to the world, I fought the coalition. Today I'm fighting an undemocratic government because I believe in democracy. Brian, thank you for being here.
Let me just
go ahead.
A quick
yeah, go ahead.
4 weeks ago, the political narrative was PPP landslide in 2025. Now I'm hearing them saying they might consider being happy being a minority government.
Wow.
4 weeks of mass media. I have shifted the political discussion in this country.
Wow.
And I made a simple point to APNU supporters who feel that this massive support is there for the PPP. Only 38% of this nation are Indians.
Wow.
38%.
Well, I hope by tomorrow political people can come and rally around you. I hope that Sister Simona Brooms, a very strong fighter for justice in Guyana, will identify with you tomorrow, and that people will know that regardless of the anger that they have in relation to guardians of democracy disappearing after the PPP government got into power, that today you are single-handedly standing up as a guardian of democracy and setting an example that you would have set in 20 2020, and the goalpost is now shifted. And I want to say to our people in the PNC and in the coalition and our supporters around the world that we must embrace you and give you that audience. We must call you into our presence with respect and camaraderie and give you the opportunity to do what you did in 2020 now against a wicked and undemocratic regime. Brian, thank you. Get some rest. And tomorrow, hopefully they don't arrest you again because you're saying on the program you will come tomorrow at the same time. I don't want to hear you arrested again. But I think they will think twice because powerful people around the world watch this program as they do to Sherrod Mark, Dr. Heinz Kedaki, and all the others. I mention people even if they don't mention me. I mention them. But I tell you this now, that we got you and you are safe. Thank you so much for being here. Until tomorrow.
See you.
That was Brian Max there. JR, look, we actually had a program tonight with Brian Max. And, you know, I love how he elaborated on the question you asked. And, you know, the viewers will see this. Well, JR, you know that we're getting a problem with this program. So for some reason, people are not seeing this direct
Well,
program.
your feed has been delayed at least 24 hours.
And no, I want you to talk about it because when tomorrow I will post a clip and thousands of people will see it, but it's
Right.
not much people getting to see it now.
That's the problem, because your initial interaction being hampered by whatever you have to try to understand the problem by getting to Facebook and see why people are not seeing your live feed until 24 hours after. Whatever the algorithms may have been messed up, or if your program has been pushed down the order. They have a way of doing that where you're not up in the feed ranks. You're pushed backwards. They'll do that sometimes when you make a comment. They will push your feed, your frequency to a lower level. But
go ahead.
what I want to tell you, Norman, with Brian coming on back, well, tomorrow night, you're in for a treat. He has a lot of information, being that he was on the ground there, and he did reach out to a lot of people during that recount session, regardless if he was against the coalition at the time. You know, you have to be man enough to make these decisions, and you have to admire someone that who might have been in a situation where certain thing was misleading, but he was man enough to correct himself, and not only correct himself, but also to go out there and continue to fight for every single Guyanese to be respected.
Yes.
And bringing things to light to educate us of the little things that we may not be privy to. So you have to have, you know, give your hat off to a guy like that. And I'm looking forward for tomorrow to hear what he has to tell the nation.
What are your thoughts on what he said in terms of he has those files, and that if anything happens to him and he doesn't, you know, renew them, or you know, he said that, you know, if in 24 hours, you know, certain things don't happen,
Brian,
it will go out to the world.
Brian is Brian is a very organized person. He is a very connected individual, and he knows the right people. What Brian is saying, Brian knows what he's talking about.
But he is saying that he's got damning information on the government, serious information on the government, that if anything happens to him and it gets out there to the world and to our local
Norman,
wow, what are your thoughts on that?
I know what he's talking about. Norman, there is a group of people are not being held accountable
Yeah.
for a lot of wrongdoings in our
Wrongs.
country.
Yes.
And that group of people is the private sector. A lot of people have been pointing fingers in one direction. Remember the business sector there, right? When they back you from and nurture you through the political climb,
Mm.
when you get there, they control you. You don't control them. And I would leave it at that. You can ask Brian, and he will tell you what it is.
And it's so wonderful.
If
Let us take a short break, and when we come back, I will ask you to give a very very brief overview of the Venezuela Guyana situation. But let's go to a short break.
Every time an Indian is beaten in this country, and Indians are beaten in this country by black people, paid by the PPP, paid by JAGDEO to beat Indians every now and then. Them people went coming from Buxton and Ford up the other day and went by Monrepo. You mean would tell me the police by vigilance go by Monrepo and stop it from happening? But no, they allowed it to happen because it suits the narrative of the PPP. Black man are coming and broke up every stall. They come and broke up, black man come broke up every stall. The police could have been there, the police was in the area, they knew they were walking. I knew they were walking, I knew when they left Buxton. But they were allowed free reign to come and beat up on the Indians because both sides getting set up. The black people are no better, they getting set up, and the Indians are no better, they getting set up. And they getting beat and get set up at the same time.
So we see there Brian Max speaking out, and then the next clip is the confrontation, coincidentally, for some reason we don't know, and then the photograph of him sitting down in the police station. It's great that he's back home. He has to return to the police station tomorrow, but I believe that the persecution has started. And tonight he has said on this program something he hasn't even said on his life. JR, he said something that he hasn't even said on his life, that he's got so much information that if anything happens to him, that CNN and the BBC and everyone, including local journalist Gordon Mosley and others in Guyana, will be privy to. JR, before I ask you about
Norman,
Venezuela, quickly about Venezuela,
yeah.
let us I don't know what is happening to the program now. Yeah, I want to ask you about Venezuela, but let us take a short break.
We are a peaceful people, struggling we struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. No, we ain't giving up no mountain, and we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belong to we. Not the one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one for us, not a blade of grass. This land is our land now, we're gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow, but never break. Our fathers came here, and they lived and died here, and we are moving from here, make no mistake. No, we ain't giving up no mountain, and we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belong to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupanuni and the Essequibo, daytime or night. Though we criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we mean to keep it. We have that right. No, we ain't giving up no mountain, and we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belong to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass, not one golden apple, not one jamun, not a drop of water from the Pomeroon, not one sherriga.
And of course, we are not giving up Brian Max either. J.R. Crawford, Coast, the voice of the diaspora here. We're actually wrapping up now. I know that someone said that we could give away a part of Guyana, as whatever. J.R., you are the co-host, and you have the opportunity to give your view on this Venezuela situation and about people who wants to surrender Guyana to Venezuela and who are encouraging our police vehicles to be marked by policia and then doubling back when they're exposed to say that it was the wrong move. Jar, the floor is yours.
Saying that concessions can be made with our border to another country
It's treasonable.
where there is hostility and where there's claim, that is a treasonous statement. It cannot happen, it should not happen, it will not happen. Now, this Venezuela issue, you see, when we play dirty, we make deals, and this is how it comes back to haunt us. Chavez agreed that, it's a best issue about the border. It's been settled since 1899. Here comes Maduro. But the problem came in 2020 when there was an aggressive move to where the United States was trying to go to Venezuela through us. And of course, the coalition stood firm and says, no, they're not going to be used as a stepping stone to get into a conflict. The PPP agreed to get it, and that's how they got into office. But we must also understand the nature of the beast. In the early 60s, the very Americans was against the Guyanese people, and they initiated that foolishness with Venezuela, I think back in 66, soon after we became a republic, independent nation. So now they have to fix that issue. They're the ones who brought up this foolishness about the border claim, because it is settled in 1899 that there are markers there. Venezuela is such a huge country. All these things were done. What the greed and the deals, that is what caused the problem, because we were doing backdoor business. Now the Americans are pumping our oil for us. There's no way the Americans is going to sit back and allow our oil to get into the hands of Venezuela. And the Americans are waiting for the Venezuelans to cross our border with any military vehicle. Once they come into Guyana, That is when the Americans will act, and then we'll see the establishment of the base there. Originally, they wanted 50,000 hectares to build a base similar to the FEMA operation in the United States.
Mm.
It was rejected, and it's going to get built. We have no other choice. If we don't allow that base to be built, we are not going to be able to control what is out in the ocean. And not only the oil in the ocean, we have, I would say, 10 times more the oil inland. We know that there is oil in the Essequibo region, inland. So where we were thinking that the oil is going to be out there for 17 years and then it would be finished, no. We have billions of barrels of oil in the Rupunungas.
Yes.
So there's no way the Americans, they're going to allow Guyana to be split in two.
Yes.
So I know that they have to correct their mistakes. So I am not worried. But what worries me and what should not happen is the influx of the illegal immigrants coming into our country, and we don't know who are the military personnel among those groups. We have seen a rise in crime in certain areas that they have inhabited. Our government should not have allowed these people to run free into our country. And that alone should tell the Guyanese people that these people are not the right people to be in charge of the affairs of this land. There's nothing wrong with having people of different culture or
Immigrants,
nationality in our country.
Yeah.
But when you have existing problems and your country is also suffering economically, we have to cater for our people first. Now, our people are becoming second-class and third-class options in their own country of birth. All because people are going to use this immigrant. They think, just for the voting reason, giving them ID cards and all these things without scrutinizing these people is detrimental to our guys' survival.
But it's beneficial
Those
to the
people would
PPP for
never
votes.
change their culture. Right,
go ahead.
but only the inner circle of the PPP, not the ones that actually vote for them. They're outside still hustling and scratching like the rest of us. And I've said it 4 years ago, and I'll say it again. The inner circle, once you're inside the circle, you're going to be taken care of. And just a sticking point, just to show you something.
No, go ahead.
We have an issue here in Region 6 that has just developed, where about a little over 140 acres or thereabouts of lands, some marked on people's transport, are being, they're labeled as government lands, are being leased to 3 individuals of a political party. All of them belongs to one political party. And the people who some have transport and the other people who could use the land, it is not publicized, it's not published. When you're going to lease government land out, to give you an option to apply, the area that land sits in, it's people of certain of this NDC, my NDC, and they don't have an option. People from outside the other NDC, and you're seeing the oppressive behavior and the one-sidedness. This is not the way to govern a country. There is no need. If I want to be in power for a long time, the easiest way and the best and the right way is to treat every single citizen with respect and care. And who would vote me out? If I'm providing goods and services, nobody would vote against me. But it has to be this a bad-mindedness and envy and anger that causes people to oppress people who do not subscribe to their behavior. Fine, if a person does not respect me for my political views or my party affiliation, fine. Why must I hate them? And that is what we have to get away from. And these are the behaviors. The Venezuelan issue is going to bother us a long, long time from now. We are seeing housewives are complaining about their interfering with their home life. Those people are going to hustle every which way they can. You can't blame them. Our government give them the free pass. Then when we saw the police vehicle stamp in Spanish, those people are programmed from birth that Essequibo belongs to them. And here we are on our English speaking nation
Telling them
putting Spanish
it's okay.
there.
Yes, yes, yes. It's their country.
Yes, Essequibo is theirs.
Yes, yes.
All we are being disrespectful to our people, and also we are being wicked towards our constitution. Doing these things is a violation of the constitution. We can't do those things. But the people of this country needs to come together regardless of race, religion, creed, whatever it is, and work and support anyone who respect the boundaries of this country, respect the peoples of this country, and care for our opportunities to grow. We are seeing so much that are being unaccounted for. Glenn Lal speaks about the oil issue every day. It's a good thing. Brian is in disagreement with him on some issues of not telling us how much we gain per day. But all this nonsense about road contracts and this infrastructure that should be developed instantly should have been the healthcare system, our security system, which includes the border boundaries, and our educational system. But here we are seeing all these disposable roads being built. People who don't have any knowledge of even making a fireside with mud now becomes expert in building concrete structure and bitumen structure to hold weight and help people. Then if you look at them, they're building 7-foot wide street. How can 2 cars pass there? The ends of the street, it's not proper. So you're having problems. You're creating arguments on the street. You're damaging people's vehicle. You're wasting our taxpayer dollars because you're not doing a proper job. Nobody's complaining because the few that is collecting these contracts, they're happy. They're making millions there. The kickback is large, 40%, 45%. What will happen when the change of government comes, and it will come, and the new government says, these work, this is what you've been paid for, you have to redo it. What is going to happen then when nobody is there to give the money back or can't do the work? So the people of the communities need to come together. I cannot say it enough. Black and Indian cannot stay without each other, cannot survive. We need to come together and hold any elected government
We have to. We have to come together.
responsible for our affairs. Just like the Venezuelan issue, we are going to have diseases, we're going to have crimes are starting already, we're going to have broken homes, and the most dangerous thing of it is who or how many of those people are militants ready to attack us from behind. That is where we have to worry about. So, as Guyanese, we need to pressure the governments that are in office. And at this juncture, both the opposition need to be much more vocal, but again, they're all sleeping. And we need to put pressure on the installed government to make sure that our constitution and our boundaries are respected. Why must we concede lands that is rightfully ours and shortchange our people? For what? A selective few friendship? No, we should not do it.
1 hour 49 minutes 24 seconds into the program. We're wrapping up now. Our co-host, the voice of the diaspora here, J.R. Crawford. Of course, we would have had a discussion with social activist Brian Max after leaving Turkine Police Station. He was arrested earlier today hour or so before, he was expected to be on Voice on the Diaspora for an explosive interview. Someone would have confronted him in the vicinity of his home or on the grounds of his home. And, the police would have gotten involved. Brian Max would have been speaking out against Barra JAGDEO directly and the PPP government as an extension. And some are upset. Some are upset. Tonight on this program, we spoke with Brian Max via audio, and he made some revelations. It is up. It is up to Stabrook News and Kaichor News and Travis Chase and Gordon Mosley and those people to decide how they want to treat with that, and whether it should be a national concern, and that they can proceed to interview Mr. Max, who has been very close to the People's Progressive Party, and obviously, I would say, knows where the skeletons are buried. JR, tomorrow we will, of course, be back here to talk with Brian Max live. He will be in studio with us tomorrow. Hopefully, if he's not rearrested,
He wouldn't be.
no, hopefully, I don't think that they will touch him anymore. I think that they know what's up, and they made a move on him. They were very careful not to mistreat him and not to put him in the lockups overnight to 72 hours and all of that. I think it was an act of intimidation, and they went to some extreme to to get him to go to the station. But I know they're hesitant, and they're not hesitant because they're nice people. They're hesitant because they know the world is watching them. Bar JAGDEO is a demon. But tomorrow we will have this discussion. Thank you, all of you who have tuned in, my viewers. I want to send out a special request to Corinne Dornick. Corinne Dornick, respect you. You are always here supporting this program and supporting my platform, and tremendous respect to you, tremendous love to you. Of course, JR, you said that there's something happening with this platform and the show. It is not reaching much people. I said that, when I post a clip from this show, it is thousands and thousands and thousands of people are watching it. But a lot of people, but I don't know, because many people have to ask people to share the live, share the live, share the live. So I don't know if sharing the live is what bring in the viewers. I don't ask people to really do that and so on.
Yeah, it has to. It
And
has
so,
to. It has to be.
yeah, I don't know.
But
But I know where the
no,
twos and trees are gathered. I know where the twos and trees are gathered, in the midst of bless. They're in the midst of bless. And we are going to keep on keeping on, and we are going to continue, whether we have 10 people or 10,000 people. The struggle continues. JR, 1 minute
but
to 1 minute to wrap up, and we definitely have to go.
yeah, the reach was there. But one thing I would like you to remember tomorrow.
Mm,
The nation is locked on to oil,
mm,
the oil proceeds, and we know that there is no expenditure on how it's being spent on all this thing, because that's the new law. But we seem to forget as a nation the monies from the forestry, the monies from the uranium,
gold.
manganese, gold, diamond, bauxite. All right. When you do look at it, it's a hell of a lot of money that's being unaccounted for. And, you know, they are going to come up with some ways to show where the all money was being spent. But what about those industry that I mentioned? And I hope that we touch base with Brian on that tomorrow, because from my understanding, he is very well equipped with those especially in mining information.
Information, yes. J.R. Crawford here, co-host of Voice of the Diaspora. I am certain that you will be seeing more of J.R. In the coming days and weeks because we are intensifying this struggle. And it doesn't matter what time of the night or what time of the day. This struggle is being intensified because we are needed and we have to rise to the occasion. J.R. Stalwart here, on his program as the co-host, and myself, Norman Brown. We had Brian Max here. I want to thank our viewers, Desiree Smart, Forbes, Meduzi, and all of you who have joined this program. I ask you in future to share the live because I think that that's the only way we can reach people. But I thank you so much for being here. Due to circumstances, I had to start the live at this time. This week, I have to start the live at this time if I'm doing it due to circumstances and availability. So I'm not deliberately choosing a time that is at the same time with another platform and so on. I'm not doing that, and I'm being very honest. And so, whenever the opportunity exists, because we all have lives and we have things to do and so on, other things to do. And this week, I'm only available at these times. And so I just want to make that clear. There is no, rivalry or no, struggle to compete with anyone at the same time of their program and so on. And I just really want to make that clear. Thank you very much, JR. Thank you very much, viewers. And I want to leave us with this song in closing, because we have to unite and we have to fight those who want to take our land. Not a blade of grass, Barra JAGDEO. And certainly, you're not going to touch Brian Max.
We are a peaceful people, struggling we struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces, from foreign places, talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. No, we ain't giving up no mountain, and we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river, that belong to we, not the one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. This land is our land now, we're gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow, but never break. Our fathers came here, and they lived and died here, and we are moving from here, make no mistake. No, we ain't giving up no mountain, and we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river, that belong to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupanuni and the Essequibo, daytime or night. Though we criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we mean to keep it. We have that right. No, we ain't giving up no mountain, and we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river, that belong to we. Not one blue sake, not one right.